1, 2, 3, go. Okay, I think we are live.
Oh, jolly good. Good
Hi,
morning,
kids.
everybody. Hello, folks.
I've got my green today draped over the back of my chair because I've just realized I don't own anything green. And now being part of Mrs. McCartney's CBD, you would think I would have to go out and buy some green wardrobe, would you not?
Hint, hint. Okay. I'll flash my little credit card and we'll go and get you something.
So this is a very exciting week, kids. Thank
Isn't it
you
just?
for checking us out and joining us. I'll vamp while a couple of people jump on here.
Mhm.
In a few minutes, once he has access to Wi-Fi, we will be joined by a very special guest who is Mr. Michael Alvarado.
Yep.
He's
From
the
Primo Gardens.
Yep.
Who is my supplier,
and manufacturer and partner,
business partner
in the brand new Mrs. McCartney's CBD. And
Yep.
so we have salves, which are lovely for your knees. So tell the kids the byline of the brand for creaky.
Creaky joints and
cranky buggers.
Cranky buggers, yeah.
That's right.
Hope I don't offend anybody, but I don't care really.
No, well, almost 93. Why
I'll
should
be
you?
93 in a couple of weeks, so to hell with it all.
Absolutely. So Mrs. McCartney's CBD was born for creaky joints and cranky buggers almost a year ago now. David Lukács, our friend from Liquid Avatar and Aftermath Islands, introduced us to Chance Sowers and Mike Alvarado of Primo Gardens in Colorado. And we've been going back and forth, and life got in the way and the pandemic got in the way and what have you. But we're very pleased to announce that we formulated some very special CBD blends. And there's no THC in any of them.
No, it's not the 4:30 stuff.
The jazz
4:20 stuff.
4:30.
Can't even get the time right.
And should be late for a smoke-a-thon.
Yeah, I would.
So yeah, we've formulated some of these lovely things. We've got Rockstar Relax, we've got Norwegian Wood, we've got Magical Mint, and Sexy Sadie, a little moisturizing oil, and some roll-ons. These are great in your purse for just being able to put on your neck. I'll show you the little thingy there. It's sealed, safety sealed tight. So there you go. So it's a little roll-on, and you literally can just put it on your creaky bits. And there you
I've
go.
got lots of creaky bits.
Absolutely.
But
my very favorite, and I couldn't resist, we were scratching our heads to come up with a name for beard oil because no one in this house has a beard.
Oh, I don't know.
So
sometimes.
So we called it Let It Beard.
Let It Beard.
Isn't that lovely? Isn't that special?
Not special.
Mark's going to see if it can calm his beard.
Oh yes, Mark Lindsay's beard. Now,
absolutely.
You could be the poster child for Let It Beard.
Hello, Barbara.
Hi.
Hello, Marion. What does the roll-on smell like? Well, we have 4 of them, and if you go on the website, it will tell you what the scents, or in the CBD business, they call them terpenes, and what the scents are all about. Sexy Sadie's kind of my favorite. It's like ylang, as they say. Rockstar is kind of, it's got a little bit of sandalwood, I guess you would say. What does that smell like?
It's real Rockstar. It would smell of sweat, wouldn't it?
Yes.
How indelicate.
No, so if you go on the website, Marion, and have a look, you'll see what all of the scents and the obviously Magical Mint, the lotion, smells of peppermint and spearmint and all of those good things. Hi, Kathy. Hi, everyone.
Hello,
folks rolling in. Hi, Rick. Hi, Rick Lauthers, checking us out. So yeah, we did our press release yesterday for Mrs. McCartney's teas. Mrs. McCartney's CBD.
CBD, yeah.
I'm so used to saying tea.
And get your brands fixed.
It's
a
whole
good girl.
Brand new line. See what I did there?
God.
Oh, God.
No, she's not my daughter. I found her on the church steps.
Will they? Good morning, chillers, says Joanne Grubbs.
Hello, Joanne.
How's everybody doing? Where's everybody posting in from today? I want to see how far and wide we're going to spread this baby.
I got a message this morning from a lady in Argentina saying, can you ship? So we're finding out. We're looking into it.
Right. When Mike is able to join us shortly, he's having some Wi-Fi issues, but he'll be here soon. He is an absolute genius.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's like a savant with this stuff. He eats, breathes, and sleeps CBD, and it's been an incredible journey and education for us.
We're still learning, of course. There's just so much to know about it. It's fascinating.
When you really get into it, it's like wines or cigars or anything like that, anything that grows. What was it my granddad used to say?
Well, if it doesn't grow out of God's green earth, then don't put it near your body.
There you go.
And he was born in the 1880s. He was a chemist, and, well, you can read all about it, folks.
Yes, it's absolutely. It's on the website.
Yeah, on the website.
Oh, look at that. Stephen Carroll's saying in his experience, CBD balm is great for psoriasis. That would make sense. It is a calming.
How interesting.
It is a calming thing. I occasionally get little sort of, it's not psoriasis, but just like dry skin patches. And I've been using our Lucy Lemon salve on it, and it's really, really does calm you down. The reason we haven't gone into, one of the questions we've had recently is the reason we haven't gone into the ingestibles area just yet is because we really just want to know all about this product. When you put your name on something, right?
Yeah.
You really want to do your research.
That's right.
So we've been having, you can use it on your dog. You may actually want to use the beard oil. And one of the areas that we're thinking of going into, in fact, is pet CBD tinctures, which you can put under their tongues. But we're doing a little bit more research. Evidently, cats and dogs can both tolerate CBD, but obviously, like anything, I would ask your vet or I would ask your doctor before you get involved on that. But I think yes, Barbara, I agree. A little sample box of a variety of teas and CBD would make a great gift for the holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, when you go to Mrs. McCartney's CBD and then you click checkout, you go over to the Primo Gardens checkout, because for legal reasons, obviously, we have to ship through Colorado, which is where Mike's business is based, as well as Ohio. We can ship to anywhere within the United States, and we've had a few international questions, so we're checking out with our lawyer if we can actually do that.
Yeah,
but
we'll let you know as soon as we get some information.
That's interesting. Stephen's saying it draws out the root of the psoriasis. Because psoriasis is, as I understand it, is a skin condition that sort of mimics dandruff, right? On the surface of the rest of the body. Yeah. It's your skin overgrows and it creates too many flakes and so on and so forth.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So, and Efrat is saying her son hasn't got psoriasis. It's something much worse, but maybe it could help with itching. I don't know. I mean, I would really ask your doctor. And, again, if you go on the website, you'll see all of the compounds, the terpenes, the emulsions, the stuff that, all of the ingredients that are in there. And clearly, make sure you're not allergic to any of them. But we've had so much fun putting together this brand. You'll see actually on the press release and on the website. Hello, Karen. You'll see Angie's wearing her favorite glasses, where's my camera? There you go.
Yeah, those are my 420 glasses.
As long as they're not your 430 glasses. At 4:30, she puts them on upside down.
Oh, sorry. We're closed.
Indeed. So, we're starting with a small line, and we hope you guys like it. We love it. I have, so somebody here is saying, Kathy has psoriatic rheumatoid arthritis, and I had no idea CBD oil could help. Well, there's an expert just joined us on the line here who is our guest of today, who I'd love to introduce. He's the man behind all of the magic, and he knows his terpenes from his emulsions and all of that
from
stuff.
His beard oil.
The crowd goes wild as we welcome Mike Alvarado. Hi, Mike.
Hi, guys. How are you? Can you guys hear me?
Hi. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us.
Oh, anytime.
Oh, it's coming through loud and clear now. Jolly good.
So we've got folks from all over the world, literally Long Island, New York, Israel, Tampa Bay, all over the place. Sammy's in Atlanta. Sammy's actually ordered. I think she was one of our first customers.
Yeah.
Mark is in Houston. So we're all over the place. We were just getting into a little discussion here amongst the crowd about psoriatic rheumatoid arthritis, and if somebody was saying, I think it was Stephen, CBD can draw out the root of psoriasis. And obviously we're not here to give medical or legal advice today, but Have you had any, that's better with the light on, we can see your smiling face now. Have you had any experience with clients, with customers who've used it for things like CBD, for things like psoriasis? And
yeah, so I think that we've seen a lot of people come in with a lot of, obviously, many different issues now. The arthritis side of things, in the God, I always have a hard time with this word. The one you just said, psoriasis.
So yeah, psoriatic arthritis. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, CBD is really good at the inflammation of pain, or sorry, not the inflammation of pain, at dealing with inflammation in general.
It's an anti-inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory, exactly. And so, again, one of the things that we've done, and like we did with your guys' line, is CBD is very good for the anti-inflammatory properties for a lot of these different issues and things out there. But the terpene effects are just as important. And so we try to utilize more of the terpene effects than we do just the CBD. CBD is kind of like the one size fits all for anti-inflammatory, but it doesn't work for everybody, right?
Right.
And so those terpenes are what we're kind of been dialing in towards for the arthritis type of things, for the psoriasis. And that's where we're seeing better results. We're seeing better results with the CBD, as well as specific terpenes put together for those direct.
And for those among us like me, when I very first started talking to you, how is a terpene defined? What are its derivatives, and what it makes it a terpene?
Okay, so a terpene is basically the essential oils of cannabis, right? But on a deeper level, terpenes are actually found in pretty much every single plant there is. And so, for instance, peppermint is actually derived from alpha pinene. It's not derived from alpha pinene, but alpha pinene is the actual terpene within peppermint that makes it smell minty.
Yeah.
And gives it that minty smell, etc. Mm-hmm. So you can find the terpene alpha pinene in peppermint as well, but it's in low concentration, et cetera. In cannabis, we found that we've been able to find these terpenes in very high concentration. And so we're able to, the extraction method for them is cost efficient enough to pull them in bulk versus trying to take peppermint essential oil, for instance, or any of the other essential oils, and then distill those to pull and isolate those terpenes.
Wow.
So we can isolate the terpenes in bulk through cannabis better than we can through its actual source, right? Okay. And so the same thing happens with, for instance, lavender or any of the essential oils. Really, almost all of them have some type of a terpene background. So going to the terpenes is kind of like taking it a step farther than going to the derived oils from those specific plants. Okay. So taking it a little bit farther, where for instance, alpha pinene, you're getting the benefits of multiple different essential oils, or the same benefit that all of these essential oils per se give you based on that specific,
flavor.
Yeah, flavor and or, cannabinoid profile. Wow. And so that's kind of the way that we look at that. But there's so many out there. And for instance, like camphor. Camphor is extracted from the camphor plant. Again, found in high concentration in cannabis. And so we can, again, extract that from cannabis. So it's hemp-derived camphor versus camphor-derived camphor, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
See, interesting. Marion's asking, what are the various shelf lives usually of these terpenes?
So terpenes, we've had terpenes in cold storage for, up to a few years. We do go through them quite a lot. But because they are so potent, as long as you keep them in cold storage, out of the light, UV light is very bad for any type of, delicate oil like terpenes, essential oils, things along those lines. Stored in glass, obviously, will also help extend that shelf life on them oils. Over time, they will degrade. They won't necessarily go bad. They will degrade, though, so they won't be as effective, right, as they were earlier on.
The same holds true with tea. In fact, tea never goes bad, but it might not just taste the best if it's years old.
Right.
But because you have Primo Gardens has such a big turnover, that's why I buy my vitamins at Trader Joe's, is because they have such a huge turnover because they're the right price. They're always going to be fresh because they refresh the shelf all the time,
Right.
So Sammy's asking, should you keep our Mrs. McCartney's products refrigerated, like the moisturizer oils or?
I do think, so we recommend it with all of our clients. And honestly, I'm glad you brought this up. It's something that we're actually adding to our website, is we're actually putting a storage and dosing and all kinds of, information, not per product, but just kind of overall per milliliter, per gram dosing, how to kind of figure that out and where to start and where to end. And then also storage recommendations.
Yep.
Now you can, the main thing is light. Light is going to be the main degrading property of just leaving it out on the shelf or whatever. Now the good thing is all of our bottles are white matte black or white matte or black matte, depending on what products you get exactly. So they do keep out 99% of UV light, but again, refrigeration will obviously extend the life just a little longer.
With my Sexy Sadie moisturizer here, I have a little fridge upstairs next to the bathroom. I keep it in the fridge because I like the sensation of it going on cold. Right. Wash your face and it goes on cold, and it's a soothing effect. Plus the label on this thing is so big anyway, there's not really much light getting in, but I do keep it in the fridge anyway.
Right. And the moisturizer oils is one of the bottles that we do in clear.
Yeah. Because you use them so fast anyway.
Yeah, it's a fast use, and most people put it like in their,
makeup bag or
makeup bag or what do they call those things on the wall that open up?
Bathroom cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Your medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
Behind your mirror or something. So it's usually hidden in the dark anyway.
Yeah.
But it is an everyday use, so it's it should only last you 30 days.
Good.
So that's kind of that particular product. But yeah, refrigeration does help. Especially with the lotion. The lotion product is definitely one that we recommend that you do put in the refrigerator because our lotion is 100% all natural. It is a product that is made very, very often. We make it in small batches, and we try to keep it as fresh as possible.
Right.
Because the shelf life on the lotions is somewhere around a year. If you use the refrigeration, you can get it longer. Again, small bottle, you'll use it a lot faster than that, but that does help preserve.
Well, I've become addicted to the magical mint, Mrs. McCartney's magical mint as a foot rub. It's so good at the end of the day.
It smells great too.
It smells great, and it just brings all your tingly bits back.
Yeah. Even my cat loves it. When I rub my feet at night, the cat comes sniffing around.
There starts to claw at you a little.
Even so, yeah.
Efrat from Israel, her son has a very specific skin disease called EB skin disease. I'm not, and I know you're not a doctor. You're obviously, a chemical formulator. Have you ever heard of EB?
I have not, but I'm going to look it up real quick. I always do this. So if I hear of something I haven't heard of before, I'll look it up and kind of see what's the underlying condition of it. What causes that particular issue? Skin blistering. It's, it seems like it's, can be tied to a group of more of like an eczema, skin blisters, things along that. It seems like they're kind of in the same realm. CBD has been known, and again, we can't really offer any type of medical advice or say that it cures anything. But CBD has been found to be very, very good at repairing skin cells. And so a lot of our products that we use on our skin, our lotions, even our salves, they do as well come with the ability to, obviously nourish that skin a little bit, moisturize it, as well as provide some healing properties. Now, does it actually, cure that problem? I can't say that it does legally, but there is obviously a lot of people that believe that it does. So, I have to walk that balance line of what we can and can't say.
Right. Well, it's whatever works for you, and it's like food allergies, right? You can't. if you're a chef, you have to ask people about their food allergies. Everybody's body is different, even if you're identical twins. So
Right.
what might work for one person, Marion, for example, is asking, can CBD be used for pain relief? It works for me. I have broken my back and I have compressed my discs twice, and I've avoided surgery by taking turmeric as an anti-inflammatory and rubbing on CBD. And I believe, in my humble opinion, not a doctor, that that's what made me better. And
100.
you know,
And I mean, we designed our first salve here at Primo Gardens, our 100% around the fact that I'm a snowboarder. I grew up here in Denver, Colorado. I snowboard. I love the snow, and I've also treated my body like an amusement park for the first 20 years of my life, and snowboarding all the time. Took some very hard crashes, but I designed it for my back. Lemongrass, rosemary, both together have very good pain fighting properties. CBD as an anti-inflammatory, and then a few other terpenes in there as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, why I made it. I made it because it helps me sleep at night. It helps me get through the night. Now I can't market and say, hey, this pain relief salve is the greatest. I can't say that. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and hide the fact that it helps me 100%. And it's helped a lot of our clients and a lot of, future McCartney clients and you guys as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sammy's asking me if I'm using this, if I'm using the salve for pain, which I am. Absolutely. I rub it on my back morning when I get out of the shower and when my pores are open, and then, add a dab before I put my jammies on at night. And I've been using it about a month or two now. And I've noticed I had to take, to just get through the day, I was having to take an Aleve around 5 o'clock. And that does a number on your kidneys. Tylenol does a number on your liver. I know where this came from. It grew out of God's green earth, like my grandfather, the compound pharmacist, used to say. So it's a question of, like we keep saying, we're not doctors, but if you trust the ingredients and you think it's going to work for you, then there's also the I wouldn't say placebo effect, but if you enter something with a positive, open mind and you want it to work and you think it's going to work, I think that's half the battle. And then the product is the other half.
90% of pain, first off, is mental. Okay. Yeah. And it's one of the things that we here at Primo, and when we design products for our clients and we come up with formulations and work with our clients, we keep that in mind, and we try to look at it from the perspective of how do we calm you down first, because when you're in pain, your energy, you're irritated, it's bothering you, your mind's only on that. And so how do we take your mind away from that first? You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be one of the things. And then how do we add some type of relief to the problem area? Right. And then 2, how do we, get you back in that relaxed mode where you're not thinking about it anymore? So kind of calm, repair, relax. Right. And that's the way I look at it. And if we can do those 3 things, that's kind of how you get to somebody. And that's one of the hardest thing with this is it's not a one size fits all product. No. And this is what we hear this about CBD all the time. And some of this has more to do with the ingestibles, the daily supplement of using CBD, which obviously we know we're going to get into a little later on down the line. But when you look at CBD more or less as a supplement for your daily activities, things along those lines, it's really one of those things where if you take say, for instance, a 2,000 milligram tincture every day, right, in a week, you're not just going to say, hey, man, this is great. It's working for me. It's a thing that it's just like any other supplement. If you start taking vitamin B or vitamin C, a month or 2 later, you feel like you wake up a little bit more energized. You got to get your body and your health on track, and that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So I always tell people, if you're looking at it as a supplement, take it every day, give it 3 or 4 months, and then ask yourself some simple questions. Right. Am I as irritated as I used to be? If you answer no to some of these questions, then it's helping. It's working. Right. It just might not be working on the level you're expecting, and maybe you need to change dosing from there.
It's a lifestyle, isn't it? It's like diet.
It's a lifestyle.
You can't just crash diet and expect to be, super thin and healthy within 7 days. It's right. It's what you do repeatedly every day. My grandmother used to say, "You become what you repeatedly do."
Right.
So you're going to sit on the couch and swallow Tylenol and go, ow, and not try something else and not move and
Right.
Oxygenate your blood and get some anti-inflammatory food in you. Well, then it's the definition of repeating the same old thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and if you think about it like this too, I mean, it's just like icy hot, for instance. I mean, you can take any of these pain relieving creams or gels or anything out on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And if I, got 80 people together and I gave them all icy hot, the reality is probably 50% will believe that it worked for them and the other 50% will believe that it didn't work for them.
Right.
Whether it's approved by an FDA or it's agreed upon by X amount of people, all of these products work for certain people.
Yeah.
All these different oils and, menthols and camphors and, terpenes and all of these different
ingredients, right?
All of these different ingredients, they all work differently for different people. And
Sure.
so everybody, you got to find your balance. And finding your balance sometimes can take some time. And with CBD, it's been a scary thing because it's an expense. Well, first off, it's a new thing. And the second thing is it's kind of an expensive trial type of product right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the product that you can buy, 5 or 6 different icy hots at Walgreens for $5 and try them all.
Right.
And so it gets a little bit more expensive. And that's why we do have on the website as well under I can't remember exactly where it's at, but if you want to request information on some type of a product or what it may work for you, or you want to ask questions, please do ask us questions, email us.
Yep.
That's great. Yeah.
Email us with whatever type of information or any information you may have on yourself of what problems you're having. And we will try to recommend one of our best products for what you're telling us so that we can get you into a product and get you testing something that is as close to possible than just kind of picking something and going with it and then saying, hey, well, no, it don't work and not try it anymore. Don't give up.
Right. Well, then the other thing too, Mike, that the kids should know is that if they try one or two things and they find one that does work for them, you have a very generous subscription discount. If you subscribe, like Amazon, if you subscribe monthly, you can really get a deal.
No, for sure. And we're trying to help. That was one of our big things. I mean, obviously, that's why we work together, is we're trying to get this product on the market that's affordable. We see a lot of CBD companies out here trying to. Oh
my God, if you Google the prices, I mean, like our lotion, it is expensive. It's $60-something, but for half the size and half the strength, some of these other companies out there are charging what did we see yesterday, Mike? 114, 129.
Yeah, some up to 180, 190.
It's half.
People taking advantage of the market, and I didn't get into this. I mean, obviously, we got into this game to make money. That's what business is.
Sure.
But I also got into this industry to make sure that we're helping people and we're getting people a product that they can believe in, that they can believe that's going to be consistent. They can come back. And do it at an affordable price. And obviously, as the market continues to stabilize, our prices are going to continue to reflect that.
Right.
And we reflect them as much as we can. And hopefully soon, we will see that market again start to stabilize a little bit more, and we'll be able to streamline a little bit more. The supply chain is still not there.
No.
Industries don't have a solid supply chain in it. And sometimes it takes time to dial that in. And
for example, we wanted to launch with shampoo and conditioner, and we can't get the emulsifiers, right?
Yeah, I mean, the emulsifier that we use for our formula is just very difficult to get your hands on right now. I mean, even some of these terpenes that we extract, some of them we have to get from our partner labs, which again, we're just out of flour. So now we got to get more of that flour so that we can get those terpenes. And that flour takes, a whole year to grow. And so we're behind on supply chain issues for specific products that go into specific things. And then when we want to design new things, sometimes we don't get what we want right off the bat. It takes a little bit of time to build up that stock so that we can launch a product and not, launch it and have it for a week and a half. And then we're waiting a month to get more products. So
So how did you actually get started, Mike? Was it when you talked about being a snowboarder and having back injuries? What was your first real putting your toe in the water of this business? So,
I've been into cannabis my whole life. I've always been around it. I grew up in a family that, was not afraid of cannabis, and we had cannabis around. And we just looked at it more from an educational standpoint. This is a product that, you know, my family grew up thinking that it was ridiculous, that it should be a business. You know, we had farms. You know, one of my great grandpas had originally farmed hemp fiber back in the, you know, 1800s.
Really?
And so it's something that had been around, but what really caught my eye was I was in construction at the time. I grew up with a construction background as well, so I did that for a long time. And we decided that one weekend I just said, hey, you know what? I'd heard a lot of chatter about the new farm bill coming out and that hemp might be possibly going legal on a federal level. And, you know, there was all these things being talked about. And so I did some research, and I had already been into a couple of different cannabis grows. Obviously being here in Denver, it had already been around for 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
And so once we found out that the farm bill was likely to be signed, we decided, hey, let's go all in. Let's go plant some hemp and let's kind of see where it went. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, we learned our lesson just like 90% of hemp farmers. You know, I'm an outstanding cannabis grower. You know, you give me a couple thousand square feet and automation and let me set it up the way I want, we'll have phenomenal THC grow. Now, taking that outdoors to 500-600 acres is just a different story. And we learned a lesson. We got punched in the face, you know, just not having enough labor, not having enough people around. Then you're out in the middle of nowhere farming and you can't even hire anybody because there's nobody to hire. They're all working their own farms. And so, you know, it was a learning curve. And then we said, you know, okay, scale back, CBD indoors, hemp fiber outdoors. And that's when we really started to make some success and went more into the manufacturing side of things and the retail side of things and focused more of our time there. And we really understood that hemp, I mean, even as of today, there's biomass sitting around. I mean, every farm's got hemp biomass that they can't sell right now just because the market got flooded tremendously very, very quick. I mean, you let people grow cannabis on acres and it exploded. I mean, it exploded overnight. And so now we're starting to see that stabilize though. And that's what's really awesome and exciting for this industry is now a lot of the people that just jumped in because they thought it was going to be fun and it was going to be a cool thing to do, new business model or whatever. A lot of those guys are gone. And the industry is starting to sustain itself a bit. And we're starting to see some levels of futures contracts coming out now. Like we're starting to build a market where people are starting to say, okay, hey, I want to buy this hemp and I'll pay a decent price for it for the next 4 years. And we're starting to see that happen. And that shows us that we're starting to see stabilization in the actual market where there's buyers and sellers coming together and locking up themselves for a few years now. We're starting to lock down a supply chain.
And now that also speaks to a question that we had, you and I touched on briefly on one of our calls, hemp and the environment, right? And climate change.
Yes.
Hemp does a big favor for that whole world. Tell the kids about that. Hemp is one of the only carbon negative plants you can plant right now that we know of.
It's very powerful. It pulls about 4 to 6 times the amount of carbon per trees. Again, this all depends on your skills as a farmer. Do you have 8-foot plants or 16-foot plants? And we're talking about on the fiber side because you got to plant very dense and heavy. But again, you know, a lot of these carbon numbers matter there. But I mean, we're talking about a lot, and it makes a difference now. And not nobody's talking about it. I mean, we talk about a lot of these other things about climate change, but we're not talking about what's actually helping right now. And the more and more acres that we put in the ground, I mean, each hemp plant can cover 2 vehicles for the year. So think about that.
My God.
That is a crazy amount of carbon that the hemp plant pulls. Now, one of the big problems is that the supply chain, again, we're still barely starting to figure out the CBD supply chain. Now, the hemp fiber supply chain is really starting to grow. The problem is there's not a lot of people that are getting into it. And the biggest issue is manufacturing. So when it comes to the equipment that does this, the decording machines themselves, even the largest company that builds decording machines in the world in Italy only builds 10 a year. Okay.
Wow.
So when they only build 10 machines a year, and they're one of the largest companies in the world that does it, you can see how hard it is to build out that infrastructure at scale when you can only get X amount of machines a year. And so there's a lot of people out here trying to build these machines and come up with ways to do it. And, you know, obviously they had to switch these machines over because hemp is not cotton. Hemp is not any of these other fiber type of plants. So we've got to come up with a new way to decord.
Right.
And so they're
And
working.
when you say decord, that's strip the leaves, strip the stalk, strip the fiber, take the fiber out.
Right. Now, there
process
is machines that can do it. I mean, there's a few companies here. There's a company called Ag Solutions out of Kentucky that it's actually a company we're working with because we're about to, our fiber thing is about to take off this year. That's where we're looking forward to get in on that. But
You might be a farmer yet, Mrs. McCartney. Have to get you some wellies.
yeah,
Green wellies, of course.
so we're really hoping that we can get a machine by October of next year. We've been working with the company for a little while. They are about 6 months away from completing one of that they have, and they do have one that's already pre-sold, but somebody hasn't picked it up yet and they haven't paid for it yet. So we're looking at trying to pick up one of these machines to get it going. That'll run about 65,000 pounds of hemp fiber in the raw form from bale, basically, through the machine. And that'll give us bash fiber, hurd, long strand fiber. I mean, it breaks it down into like 6 or 7 different categories and strips it all for you. Wow. Then what we want to do is try to sell the hemp fiber to concrete companies, things along those lines. Also, into clothing and things like that. What we really want to do is we want the hemp fiber, and this is one of the things, just like you had said about Go Green, we want to lock the carbon up. And the way we lock the carbon up is, this is why it doesn't work on THC grows or anything like that. The second you harvest and then you smoke it, you're putting the CO2 right back into the air. And so we want to lock it up. So how do we lock it up? We lock it up by putting it into hempcrete. We lock it up by putting it into t-shirts and things along the lines that are not going to put the pollution back immediately. Right. So fiber, textiles, all of those things are things that we're looking at doing. But again, the people who have the big spinning machines that can make thousands and thousands of t-shirts with fiber and actually spin it into yarn are all in China or somewhere else. We don't have that infrastructure in the United States right now.
Wow, that's incredible. I read, and I don't know how true it is, years ago, before you and I even met, that hemp was legal in the 1910s, 1920s. Yeah. But then William Randolph Hearst came along and bought what is now International Paper, which is chopping down trees to make paper pulp to print all of the Hearst newspapers on. And he realized that, whoops, I could have done it with hemp, and these guys could be my competition for International Paper. So he lobbied X amount of congressmen in the 1920s, and it was still illegal until very recently. And
that's why they did it. I mean, the reality is it was a very, very big cash crop, and we all know how that works. Yeah. And it was a big cash crop, and of course, our government always has to take control of the big money, and that's what they did. They came in, they said, "Hey, you know what? That's fine. We're going to take control of this," and then they outsourced it, and they still got the hemp cheaper from China, and that's just what they always do. And unfortunately, it's coming back now, and now that it's back. Good. Now we got to find somebody that's ready to start processing it and making it happen.
Industry. Well, the other thing too is, and I'm introduce you to my friend Tim. It's not just the carbon that it can lock up and the goods that it can make and the fast that it uses less water to grow. It grows 3 times faster. It locks up 6 times the carbon. But it also can buy, for investors and big dirty companies, it can buy them carbon credits. Correct?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's a new emerging market. Obviously there's a private sector, there's a government sector. Trying to figure out what's going on in between is, again, it's almost like the hemp and CBD and cannabis space right now. It's really the wild, wild west on carbon credits.
Right.
But big companies are now, covering their carbon footprint. Sure. It's a big part of the Paris Climate Accord Agreement where basically, if you want to go drill or you want to go do any of these different pollution type of industries, you have to pay your carbon credits first. And
it's a dirty tax, in other words. I think I was telling you, one of our former clients, Merit Solar, is a solar company that does industrial size solar fields for oil and gas companies, and its main investor is Ted Turner out there in Montana with his bison and loving the environment. And so he's funded Merit Solar, and their main clients are people like ExxonMobil and Shell, that they're using Merit Solar now to power some of their rigs and drills, but all of their corporate offices, and they're putting solar panels on a lot of the gas stations. So they're trying to reduce their carbon. They're still drilling for oil, but they're trying to reduce their carbon footprint of the electricity of their own product that they burn off the grid, from their corporate offices to their gas stations to their, refineries and so on and so forth. So I think Ted Turner was, he's never made a bad investment, right? So
for sure.
I think he's on to something. So Marion's asking an interesting question. Do we know the answer to, does hemp put oxygen back, or does it just lock up CO2? When you grow hemp, does it put oxygen? Does it give off large amounts of oxygen, or does it?
Yes, I believe so. Let me just double check something real quick on that question.
We know it locks up CO2, but whether it emits oxygen, I'm not sure on that one. But Michael, thank you, Paul Ferrante.
Thank you, Paul. I was wearing your T-shirt yesterday.
The Beatles in Memphis. Great book.
Yeah.
Great book by Paul. So there are just so many reasons that, not just setting aside the THC part. And I think when you were growing up, Ange, it was that whole reefer madness, and anything to do with hemp was the devil, and all of that, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think
that everybody went through that stage.
Yeah.
And hemp does produce oxygen. It actually produces a lot of oxygen. It says that it produces a lot of oxygen abundant because of the abundance of leaves and its quick growth. That's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about hemp as well, is with the hemp plant, we can also get 2 to 3 hemp plants grown per year, versus like a tree that takes 40 years to grow.
Right.
We can grow hemp every about 120 to 160 days.
Well, that's probably why they call it weed, because it grows like a weed.
Oh, it does. And so it grows very fast. So basically they say that hemp can produce as much oxygen as 25 acres of a forest.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Really?
Well, there you go. Mark is just saying that Royal Caribbean just built the first self-sustaining cruise terminal in Galveston, Texas, using solar. So when they bring all the cruise ships in and out, that's
fascinating.
We're getting there. And I'd love to, when you start to plant, I think you're thinking of planting in April, right? Let's have you back on and, talk more about this, because a lot of our fans they're Beatle fans, therefore they're hippies, therefore they're greenies. And no matter which side of the political aisle you sit, we need to leave a better world for our kids and grandkids.
1,000%.
Right? We have to. There's some places where we all have to come together, and I think green is one of them. What fascinates me about our conversations that we have when we've been building this brand is that, God, hemp is the solution to so much stuff.
It is. It really is. And that's why this is one thing that, like we've talked about before, I'm a very critical and logical thinker when it comes to business. And when I look at some of the things that we're doing for the Go Green industry, I agree with, but I feel like we're way off on time schedule and how long it's going to take to truly implement those things. Right. I want to make a difference today. And I want to make a difference tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And when we get to that farther on down the line, great. But until then, we need to make a difference today, and we have a way to do it. And so I think that's where we can really make a difference and make a wave, is to let people know that, like you said, not only are we bringing good products to the market, we're trying to help people, but on the other side of things, we're pulling a hell of a lot of carbon, and we're making a difference today. And, we're going to keep making a difference today. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll come and ask us for some pointers on how to do this, because I think the government could, truly use a lot of their Go Green infrastructure money could be going towards companies like us that are pushing big acres. And then they could also help buy back some of that product.
Well, and create
our military uniforms, our rope. There's a lot of things we can use it for. And it's a stronger fiber.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper.
Yep. No, they wound up, and speaking of military uniforms, a friend of ours, Tom Tran, who runs the GIs of Comedy, still serving one joke at a time.
Right.
He was telling me about how the military have turned to actual spider's web, spider silk for some of their webbing and uniform stuff, because it's some of the strongest stuff on earth.
Yeah, I've actually heard that too. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So maybe there is something afoot in Washington where people are starting to think outside the box. And
for sure.
I hope
make a big difference.
Primo Gardens and Mrs. McCartney's CBD can be at the forefront of all of that stuff. Because again, yes, we all have to make a living and pay the rent, but it's about helping people and making the world a better place in the end, right?
Right. And I always ask people, like, what's one thing that cotton can do that hemp can't? And so I always ask that one question. If somebody can give me a legitimate answer, I'll stop off of it. But think about it. The one thing we can do, if you could change just cotton farmers alone in the United States, to cotton farmers only, and you switch them all over to hemp, think about the amount of pesticides and all the nasty crap we put into our ground that we can stop doing immediately. Number two, the amount of carbon you would pull every year from that one move is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers that we came up with would just blow people away.
Yeah.
Okay? Just blow them away.
Yeah.
Making big differences. I'm talking about 2-3% differences of a problem every year. I mean, that's a massive amount of carbon that you could pull.
And imagine
they could do it immediately. And they have the consumers that already have the spinners and they have the supply chain.
Yes.
Easy way in. And
change the fiber.
You know, the government wants to do something, go green. Do that right now. And you'll have everybody on the planet behind your back, because you'll make a difference, and you'll make a difference today. Yeah. It's not a difference tomorrow or in 10 years. It's a difference after the first year. You've already made a massive difference.
Yep.
Those are the types of thinking that we need to have. Bamboo as well. That is very true.
Yep. Love bamboo too. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I know you've got to get to the store because you got customers waiting. Thanks so much for taking the time out. And thank you for being our believer and our champion and our partner in Mrs. McCartney's CBD. And we can't wait to do more crazy projects with you. There it is.
Yeah.
And go visit us at Mrs. McCartney's CBD.com or PrimoGardensInc.com. And just one little criticism, Mike. I think you need to be a little bit more passionate about this business.
Just a little. You know, I truly love this game. This is, you know, who doesn't like growing cannabis and sitting in a lab and, you know, designing products and then having customers come back and just tell you that, you know, whatever you've done for them's helped them. I can't find a better feeling yet. Haven't been able to. And, you know, until that changes, I'm going to stick with this and
good boy.
Well, keep doing what we're doing. And, you know, this is just the beginning. I mean, I still feel like we're still scratching the surface of this industry. And we've got a long way to go and a lot of cool things to bring to the table. So we're excited about it. And again, we're so excited to be working with you guys. And
we are too.
Having us on, and we've got to do this more often.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I will get my CBD versus THC versus terpene versus hemp education at the School of Alvarado.
Yeah, no, we can always do that. If you ever want to do a talk about a cannabinoid or
ask me anything,
go over a certain terpene or an AMA, yeah, I'm all for it.
Great. Well, let's set one of those up for sure. Okay. Kids in the chat, let me know if anybody would be down for that. We'll definitely set one up. Okay. That is fantastic. We will see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you, Mike. And thank you to Ashley for holding the fort while you stepped away from the kingdom.
Yep.
Much appreciated. And we will talk to you all soon.
Great. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thanks,
guys.
Mike.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.